Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm just undergoing some training down here at Pyrmont at the moment, and I thought I'd drop by the fish markets to grab some lunch. I'll try and pick up some oysters and maybe some prawns today, just to do something different. It's quite beautiful down here. It's a glorious day, as you can see. Blue skies all around. And I guess the fish markets are going to undergo some renovation work and some major development over the next few years, and will definitely change. But these fish markets have been a place that have been near and dear to many of our hearts, and we've brought many people, many guests from overseas to check them out over the years, and it's been I guess the source of many indulgent lunches, one could say. So probably not the best topic to discuss today, but given that I'm a numbers man and I do need to punch out a number of 5am clubs, today we're going to go and do a bit of a walk and talk and have a chat about a topic. And the book summary that we're going to cover today is entitled Against Empathy. Against Empathy, and it's a book written by an author named Paul Bloom. So an interesting sort of topic, and I guess once you read that, the heading for this book, I guess most of us scratch our heads and say, what is this book all about? Because you just worry when you hear things which are against empathy, because we've been conditioned to think that empathy is a good thing and that we should all be practicing empathy at every opportunity. But the interesting thing, or the good thing, is that this book here puts another spin on empathy, and it gives us another way of looking at the world. And I guess we'll step through it and see where it leads us. So the author makes an important point in this book, where he suggests that the problems we face as a society and as individuals are rarely due to the lack of empathy. He says that the problems that we face in general are more so to do that we have far too much empathy for things and people and situations around us. And you can get trapped. You can get trapped with middle-class guilt, where you try and put yourself into other people's shoes and other people's situation, and you end up making yourself sick by over-complicating and over-feeling what you think that other people could be feeling. Because at the end of the day, we do tend to over-dramatise the challenges that people face and make things much worse than possibly what they are. So another spin on how the world operates and how we see things, and just to help us put things into balance. So what is empathy? And the author defines empathy as a feeling, and it's where we feel what others are feeling. So we try and feel, or put ourselves in a position where we can get to feel what other people are feeling, as opposed to sympathy. Whereas sympathy is a condition where we feel for somebody else rather than feel with them. So it's hard to understand, and it's hard to feel what other people are feeling. And in many occasions, people think that we're feeling a particular way, and feel bad about it. But at the end of the day, we don't we don't normally feel all that bad about situations, but others think that we may be feeling worse than what we really are. But the important thing that the author tries to portray in his text is that empathy is in many ways very biased and subjective. How I feel and how you think I feel could be completely different, because empathy is very, very biased. It's prejudiced. It's innumerate. It's overly emotional and sometimes very, very selfish. And we're going to be careful that we don't enable or we don't let other people make us feel worse than what we are or less empowered by what we are, by them trying to suggest how we should be feeling and manipulating that through their biases and selfishness and prejudices. Because if I feel okay, then I feel okay. Don't make me feel any other way other than how I feel. And sometimes it's a little bit embarrassing and it's a little bit condescending to make people feel worse than what they actually do feel by trying to put words into their mouths and trying to suggest that they should be feeling a particular way, even though they're not particularly feeling that. One of the tricks, just so you're aware over there, you see all those seagulls. Many a time I've seen people come out of the fish markets carrying this magnificent seafood basket with lobster and prawns and calamari and chips and crab and you name it. And as soon as they sit down and look down at the plate, preparing to indulge in this beautiful lunch that they've purchased in the fish markets, all of a sudden these seagulls descend on them and just annihilate the food on the table, and it just goes flying everywhere. And there's a cacophony of screeching and sound, and the people are left open-mouthed and in shock, not knowing what to do as the seagulls just disperse in different directions with morsels of food in their mouths and come back for seconds and thirds and have just ruined $100 fish basket that people have. So let's go on and just look at a little bit more and learn a little bit more about this book summary on empathy, and what the authors also suggest to us, and it's pretty spot on, that empathy and charity and all of those middle class sort of things that people do to try and make themselves feel better, not necessarily make the other people feel better, is that empathy is very selective. Empathy and charity are very, very selective because they are biased. And we don't often realise that what we select as being something that we want to support and look after is just expressing our bias. It's expressing our middle class guilt. And we often don't realise it. Our feelings, our concerns are based on whether we think that the people, the cause, is deserving or not. And we tend to favour those causes, those groups of people who are popular in some sort of way. We're very selective with who we feel for and who we feel with. And it's been shown that over the years that, if in the old days you were an AIDS patient, then people would treat you like a leper. Or if you're a victim from Syria, People are not interested in your cause, but they're interested in a cause which gets brownie points and gets the middle class tick of approval. So empathy, on the other hand, from what this author is suggesting, can also lead us to making some really, really bad decisions, because empathy can drive us to fix short-term problems, feeling for people and helping out people to solve their short-term problems. But what we're actually doing is we're opening up bigger long-term problems. And it's been shown over the years, and it doesn't take long when you walk through the city where you're just irritated and descended upon by all of these charitable organisations, because they take advantage of our goodness, of our charitable nature, and they take advantage, as I said, of our empathy or our need for empathy. Many charities are there to basically make a dollar for themselves, and it's often shown that a huge amount of money in charities actually go to the administration of the charity, as opposed to the recipients, the worthy recipients, where the money should go. I've often heard of a number of charities where 70 or 80% of the money collected goes to funding the charity in terms of the administration, paying for the people who make up the charity, as opposed to the people who deserve the charity. So we need to be careful not to feel for a minority at the expense of the majority. How often do we get sucked in to raising money for a particular minority, or to support a cause that is dedicated to helping out a minority? But whilst doing that, what we're actually doing, look at the fish down there, what we're actually doing is we're impacting the majority. We're disenfranchising, and we're causing pain and long-term challenges to the majority. Sorry to say that. But look at all these fish down here, these massive, massive bream down here by the fish markets. I should tell my cousin Billy. Billy, if you're watching, mate, check out these bream, mate. They're at least kilo-sized bream down here by the fish markets. Look at it, they're just massive bream. Wow, I can't believe how big they are. Anyway, so how do we solve this? What do we learn from this book? My God, I can't believe how big these bream are. Billy, come down here with your fishing line, mate, with your hand line, and start pulling the fresh fish out of the water, rather than going to the fish market and buying them in the fish market. Anyway, the author's call to action is for us to change the way we look at empathy, and instead of becoming empathetic, it's probably better to look at life through a different lens, and to try and practice a thing called rational compassion. And what is rational compassion? And rational compassion is that we are all capable of doing the right thing. We don't need to put ourselves in another person's position and to feel with other people. We are good enough without having to step into their shoes to be able to direct our attention, our love, our compassion to people who are in need. There, Billy. Look at these fish. Just massive, massive fish, and in huge numbers. So because we have morality, logic, spirituality, Our rational compassion can guide us to making the right choices without being manipulated by the clever marketing that some organisations and groups come up with. So we need to help with our head and not necessarily help with our emotions, because our emotions can deceive us and can get us to get over emotional and over committed to certain causes, which may not necessarily be the best use of our resources. Anyway, let's go for a bit of a continual walk and talk. So the bottom line is that we need to be rational with our compassion, and we need to do a cost-benefit analysis where possible. Now I know why there's so many fish down here, Billy, because they say no fishing. But no fishing is just an attitude. I'm sure that there is a way to be able to fish down here without feeling as if you're breaking the law. So interesting. So the bottom line from this book and from this authorship is that we all need to look at the cost-benefit analysis and to see that the effort that we put in is justified, and to make sure that our help is being directed in a way which is going to give the biggest return on that investment. So the bottom line is to avoid manipulation, to avoid the spin doctoring, and to make the most of whatever we can. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. It's a brilliant, most beautiful day down here at the fish markets. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to come down with your boat, pick up a fish platter, and head off into this beautiful day, go for a swim, and enjoy all that we have available to us. So I'll finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, come on down to the fish markets whenever you get a chance and make the most of this glorious weather. As I say time and time again, that autumn is by far the best time of year, and the markets are here ready for you. So I think I'll leave it there. So Yassas, take care, wishing you all the very best, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.